be time for these two teams to settle it between the white lines.
After all the hype, why was Super Bowl 53 so low scoring? This is the science behind Super Bowl 53.
Super Bowl 53.
Subscribe, like, comment. Smash that bell, sports science, not bro science.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium in downtown Atlanta, and a Super Bowl 53 between the New England Patriots, champions of the AFC, and the NFC champion Los Angeles Rams.
The Super Bowl, the greatest show on turf, the signature concluding game of the National Football League played each year, in what many thought would be a high-scoring game. Yet, what was seen was a tight, defensive chess battle.
Tension is remarkable.
Squeaky bum time. It just feels like everybody's on a razor's edge right here.
So why was the Super Bowl so defensive and low scoring from a sports science point of view? Not a coaching perspective, because quite frankly, I don't have a seat at the table when it comes to coaching.
This guy, he's not even going to look for you.
So as a Pats fan, it was only right to show my winning face. Neutrality established, we'll firstly look at information overload. Both quarterback stats were relatively poor. A quarterback has to read and interpret a number of stimuli during the average snap. They also have to release the ball on average about 3 seconds. In order to do this, they must both introspectively and retrospectively tactically read and process potential outcomes. There is of course the potential to be overloaded with visual stimuli.
Oh, look at this, and then look at this guy come. And there's only going to be about 4 of them, 5 of them at most.
The Mandela effect, or otherwise known as the Where's Wally / Where's Waldo if you live in the US, is an effect describing misidentification and memory distortion. This is something often referred to in police cases. However, in football, the reason for the misidentification or distortion of information could be due to possible heightened stress and other reasons. They are unable to process information quick enough, so the mind fills in the blanks, utilizing their previous experience and also schemas. This could be the reason why the QB and also other positions see things that aren't really there, and therefore act upon a decision based upon the information they have received. The reasoning for filling in the blanks might be one of 2 reasons. Firstly, a sense of accountability or being in a role of responsibility. The second might be due to the amount of knowledge that individual has. Greater knowledge makes a person more likely to incoherently or incorrectly recognize new information that is similar to previously experienced information. The Mandela effect can be further achieved by placing the quarterback under pressure, by forcing the quarterback to make decisions or forcing errors.
By Brian Flores, pressure on number 16.
The pressure of a situation can also have an effect, as Van der Wade showed in the Open. The pressure of playing in the Super Bowl can have an effect on thought patterns. A result of the position like a quarterback and kicking roles, which utilizes fine motor skills, can not only affect timing, as consciously thinking about a certain action can make that execution of that action slower. As mentioned before, the quarterback does not have much time to release the ball. Also, by concise thinking about the action can make that action less natural. Resultantly, you're more prone to errors. This can be a consequence of too much arousal or anxiety. There's a German military phrase which I'm not going to pronounce because I know I'm going to absolutely muller the pronunciation, but it means fingery toes, having control of the situation and yourself. Situational awareness, a term often used within the military and emergency services, is the perception of environmental elements and events with respect to time or space, the comprehension of their meaning and the projection of their future status. In other words, it's about keeping an eye on the bigger, tactical, logistical picture and not focusing purely on one outcome. During times of intense action, information overload, stress, or simply an overriding need to succeed can lead for the quarterback to become fixated on a certain throwing route This means he can miss potentially the important open wide receiver. There is no doubt the Rams' offense were outplayed, and in the words of the Rams coach, McVay,
Jack did an outstanding job. You know, there's really no other way to put it. You know, I'm pretty numb right now, but, you know, definitely I got outcoached, and I didn't do nearly good enough for a football team.
Me too, man. All right, let's get it done. Let's go get it done.
much has been said both previously before the game and after the game about the experience level of both Belichick and McVay. But what classifies as being experience or inexperience? Experience can manifest itself in a number of ways and does not always need to be experienced, so to say, in person.
How about this, huh?
This one's going to sting for a while. It has to. The agony of defeat comes with the job. This, you're going to have to build from. Let it sting. Let it fuel your offseason again and see if you can make another run at it.
Experience is really the measure of maturity. Experience can be gained in a number of ways. For instance, vicariously, so learning through the experience of others. An innate experience, so experience through training or reflecting, sometimes hypothetical situations. You can also learn through a taught experience, learn through the education or an education system. These are but a few, but there are many ways to gain experience, and just because you've had personally experienced it yourself does not necessarily mean you are experienced. It's about learning from the experience and applying what you've learned into the same or a similar situation again against those they perceived as having an experienced reputation, and how coaches coach. Ironically, the experienced players are experienced because sometimes they are thought as experienced by affecting how the opposition play, which in turn can improve their game.
Oh, he looks like what you're supposed to, right?
With all this said, could it be said that the Rams lost the Super Bowl before they left the locker room?
I need my money. 5, 10s and 20s. Yeah, 50s and 100s. God damn it, I need it, I want it, I need my money. 5, 10s and 20s. Yeah, 50s and 100s. God damn it,
I know this is a long stretch to come to that conclusion, especially as we are not privy to the everyday information. However, in sports, the mental build-up to a game is a vital ritual where one must build themselves up to the right levels of arousal to perform. Too much arousal can lead to anxiety, which is a negative to performance. However, it is not a linear as arousal good, anxiety bad, as anxiety can be reappraised to help performance. One must also think about the effects of being under-aroused. Different positions and different situations will require different levels of arousal, referred to as zones of optimal functioning.
I think we work for it, boys. Come out here, give it our all. I love this, fellas. The moment is here.
I had this whole speech about the people that doubted us, proving them wrong, doing all that, and I realized that don't matter. This game tonight is about us, our journey, trusting each other, loving each other, playing for each other tonight. That's what it's about.
We know that arousal has a parasympathetic effect upon the body. We can see this because there is an anticipatory heart rate rise or before competition. There are many different techniques in order to help improve, increase or decrease arousal. So for instance, self-talk or speeches.
Ready for the speech?
But what works for some individuals will not work for others. So for instance, our college's almost drunken-like hockey speeches about the mascot, the blind mascot, that occurrence that randomly appeared in the goalkeeper's kit bag may not be of significance to someone else. The wording and the significance of those words is important when doing speeches. I am now going to start talking about kicking rhythm. As it was a tight game, kicking and scoring from those kicks became increasingly important. For place kickers, rhythm and routines are very important. Every great kicker maintains his tempo leading into a kick. All kickers have a specific tempo that matches their body type and personal style of kicking. There are fast tempos, medium tempos, and even slow tempos. If the tempo varies, so will the kick. However, kickers don't always have the luxury of time. They have 25 seconds to be able to take the kick. And that depends really on circumstance and situation. One thing a kicker must do is remain calm and being in the moment. Try not to think of the technique. Just try and think about kicking through the ball. Thinking about the technique has a greater chance of having slower processing and more likely to actually miss the shot.